Rosh Hashanah 23.
Shalom to all! Today's daf is Rosh Hashanah Daf Chav Gimel. We are starting 10 lines from the top at the 2 dots. And today's daf is sponsored Lilu Nishmas, Maris Miriam, Sarah Bas, Rabbi Yaakov, Moshe, her neshama should have an aliyah, and Lilu Nishmas, Rabbi Yachmiel, Mordechai, ben Rabbi Chaim, his neshama should have an aliyah. And the Mishnah said, Ketzad Hayom Asir Masuas, Mevin Klun Size Shel Erez, and we learned in the Mishnah about the mountaintop torch-waving procession that took place to notify everyone when Rosh Chodesh was. The Mishnah described what the torches looked like, beginning with the fact that they were long cedar wood poles. Now the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda, Dalim Minei Razanhein, there's actually 4 types of Erez: Erez, Kasraim, Eitz Shemen, and Varosh. And now we're going to try to understand what these are. Kasraim, Amarav, he says that's Adra, and Debei Rab Shila Amri, he says Mavliga, and Va'amri La Zu Golmesh, some say it's Golmesh. And Upligi the Rabbi Rav Huna, this is an argument with Rabbi Rav Huna. The Amar Rabbi Rav Huna, Arbe Rav, they said in Bismerish of Rav, Asar Minei Razamheim, there's actually 10 types of Erez. Shenemar the Pasuk says, Etem Bamidbar, I'm going to place in the Midbar Erez, Shita, Vahadas, Ve'etz Shemen, and Asam Barav, I'm going to place in the desert, Barosh, Tidhar, Usa Ashur, Yachtav, all together. So now we're going to understand what these are. Erez is Arza, that's cedar wood. Shita is Tornisa, which is pine. Hadas is Asa, regular Hadassim that we shake with our lulav. Eitz Shemen, what's that? A farsama, that's balsam wood. Barosh is Barasa, which is boxwood. Tidhar is Shaga, which is fir, F-I-R. Sa'ashur is Shervina, which we don't know what that is. So the Gemara asks, Hani Shiva Hafu, that's only 7, that's not 10. The Gemara answers, Ki Asa Rav Dimi, Amar, he said, Hisifa Alayim, they added on another 3, Alaynim, Almaynim, and Almaygim. Alaynim, what's that? Butmi, that's elm trees. Almaynim is Beluti, that's oak. And Almaygim is Kisisa, that's coral, that's in the bottom of the ocean. And the reason why we're calling it a tree is because it grows in tree-like formations. And Ikadamri, some say that the 3 that were added on were Arainim, Armainim, and Almaygim, which is Arainim, that's Are, that's laurels. Armainim is Dulvi, which is chestnut. And Almaygim is Kasisa, which we said is coral. And now once we mentioned coral, we're going to talk about that. Vitzi Adir Loyavirenu, the Pasuk says a mighty ship cannot cross it. This is referring to the stream of water that's going to emerge from the Kodesh Kodashim and eventually become a raging river that even a mighty ship can't cross. And what's this mighty ship that we're talking about? Amarav, he says, Zu Borni Gedaila, this is talking about a large Borni type of ship. And Hechi Avdu, what was it used for? How was it used? It was used to harvest coral from the bottom of the ocean. And how is it that we did that? Maisu Shes Alfi Gavra, but Treser Yachishasa. They would bring 6,000 men and hire them for 12 months. Ramilon, some say Treser Alfi Gavra, they would take 12,000 men, Beshisa Yachishasa for 6 months. Betani Lachala, they would load up this ship with sand, Ad Shachra, until it would settle on the ocean floor. And we're talking about where it's very shallow in the ocean, that's where coral grows. So it's very shallow, and the top of the ship was still sticking out of the ocean. V'nachas bara Mairai, and then a diver would go down. The Qatar Atuni de Kisana Bikista, he would tie flax ropes, which are very strong and don't tear easily. He would tie it to the coral. The Qatar Luhubas Finta, and then he would tie the other end to the ship. And V'natri Chala, then they would take the sand, the Shadal Librai, and they'd throw it out of the ship. And as the ship got lighter, so it would start rising, the Kamat Medallion, and as the ship rises, Akra Umasya, it would uproot this coral. It would tear it out of the bottom of the ocean and bring it to the surface. And this coral was so expensive, Umachlef al Chad Train Bechaspa, that they were able to trade 1 part for 2 parts silver. And Tlas Parvasa Havion, there were 3 ports. Tarti Be'armai, Bechad Be Parsai. 2 were in the Arameans' territory, some say it was the Romans' territory, and 1 was in the Persians' territory. The Be'armai, the one in the Arameans' territory, Maskin Kasisa, they would harvest coral from there. And the Be Parsai, the one that was in the Persians' territory, Maskin Marganiyasa, they would harvest pearls from there. And in Makarga, it was called Parvasa de Mashmehig, the port of the kingdom. And once we had this pasuk that mentioned all these types of trees, and one of them was the Shita tree, which is the pine tree, we have a drush about that. Amar Rabbi Yechon, he says, Kol Shita v'Shita shenatlu nachar Yerushalayim, every pine tree that the Goyim took from Yerushalayim when they destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, Asar Kadosh Baruch Hu lachzir la, Hashem is going to bring that back to Yerushalayim. Shnamar, it says, Etein b'midbar Erez Shita, I'm going to bring to the midbar Erez and Shita. Have ein midbar el Yerushalayim. Midbar is referring to Yerushalayim. Shnamar, it says in the pasuk, Tzion midbar hayasa, Tzion has become a midbar, and Tzion is referring to Yerushalayim. And from Rabbi Yechon, he says, Kol le'mei Torah ve'ein melamda, someone who learns Torah but he doesn't teach it, he's like a hadas in the midbar. A hadas is something that has a wonderful fragrance, but if it's out in the midbar, so there's no one to benefit from it. Some say, someone who learns Torah and he teaches in a place where there's no Talmidei Chachamim, he's like a hadas in the midbar, the chaviv, that's very precious. If a person's going in the midbar and all of a sudden he finds a hadas, so he loves it and it's very precious to him. He says, woe to the Avdei Chachavim, she'ein lahem takana, they have no way to rectify what they did by killing Talmidei Chachamim and killing Yidden. Whenever the pasuk says, Tachas hanachayches avizav, in place of the copper that the Goyim stole, I'm going to have them bring gold, says Hashem. And Tachas barzol, in place of the iron that they stole, avi kesef, I'm going to have them bring silver. Tachas eitzim nachayches, and in place of the wood that they took, I'm going to have them bring copper. And Tachas avanim, in place of the stones that they took, barzol, and have them bring iron. But Tachas Rabbi Kiva Chaverav, in place of Rabbi Kiva and his friends that they killed, my Mivin, what can we bring to replace them? We can't do anything to replace them. And Valei Moimer, about them it says, Vini Casey, I will cleanse them from their sins, but Damam Laini Casey, all the blood that they spilled by killing terrorist scholars and the like, that is not going to be able to be cleansed. And the Mishnah had said, so the Mishnah told us that the torch waving stopped at Beis Baltin, and the fellow there waved his torch all about until the entire Gaila was lit up like a Meduras Eish. So now the Gemara asks, my Beis Baltin, what is Beis Baltin? Amarav, he says, Chav Kim Lamed Alpha on top, Zu Biram, this is a place called Biram, and it was at the edge of Eretz Yisrael. And my Gaila, what does the Mishnah mean when it talks about Gaila? It talks about the diaspora. Amarav Yosef, he says, Zu Pampadisa, it's specifically referring to the city of Pampadisa. And my Meduras Eish, what does that mean? He waves it about until he sees all of Gaila lit up like a Meduras Eish, like a bonfire. Tana, wave a brisa, call Echad Ve'echad Noitel Avuka B'yadoi. Every person in Pampadisa, when he saw the person in Beis Baltin waving his torch, he would take his own torch, and Va'il Resh Gagoi, he would go to the top of his roof and wave it about. So that means that the person in Beis Baltin, he looked at Pampadisa and he saw a whole bunch of torches being waved about, and that's what the Mishnah means when it says Kimeduras Eish. And Tanya, you have a brisa, Reb Shimon ben Elazar Emer, he tells us, Af Charim V'Chayer V'Geder V'Chavar, the messengers with torches even went to these mountains. Ikeda Amri, some say Benu Beni Havakami, that these mountains were actually in between the mountains that we mentioned in our Mishnah, and Ikeda Amri, some say Lahach Gisa Eretz Yisrael Havakami, that they were actually on the other side of Eretz Yisrael. Mar Chashiv the High Gisa, Mar Chashiv the High Gisa, and the Mandam of our Mishnah is just talking about the messengers going to one side of Eretz Yisrael, and the Mandam of this brisa is talking about messengers going to the other side.